Hello, everyone. When collecting data on our patients, especially their history, we need to get a breakdown of their pregnancy history. Every pregnancy that a patient has leaves kind of a footprint to them. When we look at each pregnancy, most facilities or most areas of nursing will use G's and P's, which is right up here at the top, gravidity and parity. That is kind of like a shortened version of an obstetric history. In OB, we use a longer version so that we can get a clear picture of each pregnancy and what the outcome was for those pregnancies. So when we talk about just G's and P's, we're kind of encompassing the whole obstetric history of this GT PAL below, which we're going to get into. Starting with just G's and P's, the G stands for gravidity, which is the total number of pregnancies, and that includes the current pregnancy. So when you see an NCLEX question or a question on a quiz, always remember to count the current pregnancy. So if in the question a patient is presenting to OB triage or presenting in labor or for a prenatal visit, that means they're currently pregnant. So you always need to add that current pregnancy into your calculations. So gravidity is number of pregnancies. There are different terms for gravidity. Gravid just means that the patient is pregnant. Gravida is counting how many pregnancies she's had. Nulla gravida means that they've had no pregnancies. I have a 0 here. Never been pregnant. Prima gravida means that this is their first pregnancy. Multa gravida means that they've had greater than one pregnancy, so second pregnancy and beyond. When we talk about parity, the P of the G's and P's, that means the number of deliveries, so delivered pregnancies, past 20 weeks, whether that baby was born alive or not. The smaller terms in parity is para, so you might hear gravida para, just meaning those number of deliveries past 20 weeks. Nulla para means that they've never delivered a baby past 20 weeks. Prima para, they have delivered one past 20 weeks. And then multa para, they've delivered greater than one past 20 weeks. You might also see a grand para in there. Grand para means that they have delivered more than 5 pregnancies past 20 weeks. So that's just the G's and P's part. And then to get a clearer picture in obstetrics, we break that down even farther. Using this term GT-PAL acronym, GT-PAL. The G stands for gravida, which is the total number of pregnancies. And again, it includes the current pregnancy. T stands for term, and that is pregnancies delivered past 38 weeks gestational age. Preterm is pregnancies delivered past 20 weeks through 37 and 6/7 weeks. Now you might see in other areas, maybe even online, that these 2 weeks might be different. The current data is 38 weeks is term. You might see 37 weeks, but for your textbook purposes and for our testing purposes, we are going with your textbook at 38 weeks for a term pregnancy, meaning that preterm is going to be 20 weeks through 37 and 6/7 weeks. So until they hit that 38 weeks, they are preterm. Abortions is pregnancies delivered less than 20 weeks, whether it was a miscarriage or a true abortion, the way we think of it. Miscarriages are actually in the medical terms called spontaneous abortions, where the pregnancy would be delivered just spontaneously, okay? A true, what we would think is a miscarriage. There's also another term is missed abortion, where the pregnancy passed while in utero and we didn't know about it, and we have to induce that pregnancy to be delivered. The acronyms for that is SAB for spontaneous abortion and MAB for missed abortion. And then we have medical termination of pregnancy, or a therapeutic abortion, which is also, the acronym is TAB. These are true abortions, or if we were to terminate a pregnancy due to putting the mother at risk. Okay, so that would be a therapeutic abortion. The last letter is L, living children. That's where our twins come into play. So each multiple, twins are multiples, right? Each multiples is technically one pregnancy, right? Even though there are multiple babies in there. And this is where we would count those multiple babies. They only get one in each of the categories above because it's just one pregnancy. And then this is where we would add our multiples. Same with if we had a preterm delivery that was a stillbirth, or even a term delivery that was a stillbirth. We would not add living children down here, so that we would understand something happened within this space where the baby had passed. Also true for deceased children for any other reason. We would subtract in this living children portion. So let's break it down just a bit for you guys so that you can see how we would count these. In Canvas, you guys do have some practice GT pals, so that you can go through and practice how you would respond on a quiz. But we're going to do a couple examples. So when I am trying to find out a GT pal on my patient, I will write out on my paper GTPAL. I just wrote what they mean so you guys can learn it better. So gravida, term greater than 38 weeks, preterm greater than 20 weeks to 37 and 6/7 weeks, abortions greater than 20 weeks, or sorry, less than 20 weeks, and then all living children at the end here. So when I read a scenario, I can start filling out in tick marks or tally marks as I go, so I don't miss any pregnancies. This first example I'm going to give you says a woman presents to OB triage. If she's presenting to OB triage, that means she's pregnant, so she gets a G. She has 2 full-term deliveries. So we've had 2 full-term deliveries, meaning past 38 weeks. So we're going to put, for the first one, a G for 1 pregnancy, right? And a T for full term. Second one, a G for full-term pregnancy, and then a T for term right there. She had 1 preterm birth, G for the preterm pregnancy, and a P for the preterm birth, and 1 miscarriage at 8 weeks. Here's a G for that pregnancy. And then it was 8 weeks, so that's less than 20 weeks. And so we're going to give that an A for abortion. All of the other children are living. So we have these 2 categories where they were living children. So we have 1, 2, 3 living children. So her GT pal would be a G5, right? T2, P1, A1, L3. That's her GT pal. Now, when we were talking on the other board, we talked about gravida and para. Remember, gravida is just number of pregnancies for both. And then para means any delivery past 20 weeks gestation. So if we were just to do a G and a P for this specific patient, what we're going to do is combine these two, the T and the P, to get our para. Don't confuse this G and P with preterm, okay? This one is all those pregnancies past 20 weeks in just the G and the P form. So we would combine the term and the preterm. She had 2 and 1, which is 3. So she would be a gravida 5, para 3 for her G's and P's. Sometimes you'll see it listed this way, G5, P3, and then T-PAL, T2, P1, A1, L3. Just another way to break it down that way, okay? Let's do another one. A client reports having 4 pregnancies. It hasn't said that she's currently pregnant yet, okay? We're going to break it down here. She delivered triplets at 32 weeks. So even though there were 3 babies, that's only 1 pregnancy. So she's going to get 1 G for pregnancy and 1 P for a preterm delivery because it was at 32 weeks, which is in this category here, right? So 1 preterm delivery, and then 3 is where her multiples would come in, her triplets, okay? She had 1 full-term delivery, another pregnancy, and 1 term delivery, and a living child here. And had 2 miscarriages before 12 weeks. So she has another pregnancy and a miscarriage and a pregnancy and a miscarriage or abortion here before 20 weeks. All of her children are alive except for the miscarriages. What is her GT pal? She is a gravida 4, term 1, preterm 1, abortion 2, living children 4. So we can account for those multiples. And if we were to put this one in just the G and P form, gravida and para, we're going to combine our T and our P, right? So gravida 4 stays the same. And then we have 1 term and 1 preterm, which means 2. So she's a gravida 4, para 2 in the just G and P form. Let's do another one. A woman presents for her prenatal appointment. She's pregnant, right? She's going to a prenatal appointment. Never forget that current pregnancy. That's the most of the missed points that you get there. She had 2 full-term deliveries. So let's add those in. 1 full-term delivery. Another full-term delivery. I'm assuming they're both living, but we'll keep continuing on. We can erase those later. She had 1 preterm birth at 34 weeks. Another pregnancy, but a preterm birth. We'll assume that one's living as well. and 2 miscarriages at 10 weeks. All of her other children are alive, so we need to add those miscarriages. 1, 2, 1, 2 abortions, because they were before 20 weeks pregnant. You may have some people say that miscarriage is just a stillbirth. They still call that a miscarriage. And so you need to know what the gestational age was at that, what they're calling a miscarriage. So if it was greater than 20 weeks and the baby passed and they delivered, then that would still go in preterm. Okay. So what is her GT-PAL? She is a gravida 6, 5, 6, term 2, preterm 1, abortion 2, living children 3. Make sense? And if we were to put that into G's and P's, gravida para, she would be a G6, P3. Do another example. You guys can stop the video if you think you're good, but I'll keep going for some examples here. All right, so this next one, a client has had 3 pregnancies. They just tell us that right up front. So our G should equal out to 3, but we'll see how it goes. She had twins at 38 weeks. So that's term twins, which is rare, right? Twins only get 1 G, 1 pregnancy, and 1 delivery. So it would be here at term because it was 38 weeks. But we're going to add the 2 babies on living children, unless they say otherwise in the end of that thing, the scenario. She had a singleton, which just means 1 baby, at 41 weeks. So that's still greater than 38 weeks. It's going to go in the T, but let's go ahead and give it 1 G for 1 pregnancy and 1 term delivery past 38 weeks. And then 1 living child, unless it says otherwise. And a miscarriage at 9 weeks. All of her other children are alive. So 1 miscarriage, 1 G, and it was 9 weeks, so it's going to go under the A for abortions. And no, it didn't live, right? Because it was before 20 weeks. Honestly, they wouldn't live after. It's very difficult before 20 weeks. Usually they say viability is 24 weeks. But in this scenario, we're using that 20-week mark. Okay, so what is her GT-PAL? She is a gravida 3, term 2, preterm 0, abortions 1, living children 3. If we were to put that in gravida para form, we're combining these 2, right? Which is just 2 plus 0 is 0, or is 2, I'm sorry. She's a gravida 3, para 2. Let's do another one. You're working on the labor and delivery unit, and your patient states she's in labor and delivery, right? Don't forget that current pregnancy. We're going to add it right now because it says she's in labor and delivery. So she's currently pregnant, not delivered yet because she's still in labor and delivery. Okay, so gravida 1 already, but nothing else because she hasn't delivered yet. She had 1 full-term birth. Add our pregnancy, our term, our living child. One stillbirth at 22 weeks. 1G, and then 22 weeks. It's greater than 20 weeks. It's a stillbirth, and it was a delivery though, but it doesn't get an L for living. And 2 miscarriages at 7 weeks and 12 weeks. Her only living child is from the full-term birth, which we didn't add that's stillbirth. So let's go ahead and add those miscarriages. 1 for 2 miscarriages. No living children, right? And then it says her only living child is from that full-term birth. So only 1 for L. So she is a gravida 5, term 1, preterm 1, abortions 2, living children 1. If we were to put that in G's and P's form, she's a gravida 5, para 2. Some more. Again, if you think you've got this down, go ahead and stop the video. But I'm going to keep going. A client is currently pregnant. Make sure you get that 1 right away. She's had 1 term birth. 1G, 1 term birth. 1 preterm birth at 30 weeks. 1G, 1 preterm, 1 living unless they say otherwise. Oh, sorry, I forgot to add the term living. 1 elective abortion at 6 weeks. Elective abortion is just an abortion. So we get 1 pregnancy, 1A. It was at 6 weeks gestation. No L there. Her 2 children are alive. We've got 2 here. Perfect. What is her GT PAL? She is a gravida 4, term 1, preterm 1, abortion 1, living children 2. In her G's and P's form, we combine our term and preterm. She's a gravida 4, para 2. Let's say we have a patient that's been delivered and she's now in postpartum and she just had her 3rd term baby. All children are healthy. No preterm or abortions has happened. So if she's delivered and had 3 term babies, we would get 3 for gravida for her pregnancies, and then 3 for term, and then 3 for living. So she would be a gravida 3, term 3, preterm 0, abortions 0, living children 3. In the G's and P's form, she's a gravida 3, para 3. Let's do one more. And if you guys have questions, we can practice some in class as well. A woman has had 6 pregnancies. They're just telling us that from the start. So we should end up with 6 on our G, right? She delivered 2 term infants. Let's add 1 term. And then another term. 2 preterm infants. However you want to do it. You could do them one at a time or add them both. And 2 miscarriages at 12 and 15 weeks. So it's less than 20, so it's going to go under our A, right? So 2 of those. 1, 2. 1, 2. And nothing under living, right? So we did end up with 6 pregnancies here. That's just another check, right? So she is a gravida 6, term 2, preterm 2, abortions 2, living children 4. And if we were to put that in G's and P's form, it would be a gravida 6, right? Para 4, 2 plus 2 is 4. All right, I hope that's making sense for you guys. This is very important to know for all testing, but also especially this gravida para for all fields of nursing on our female patients. If you have questions, please feel free to shoot me an email or write it down and we can discuss it in class. Thank you.